But we're going into our final segment of the day, which is our
question of the week. And I chose one that's pertaining to money. So this question says, how do we balance our finances if my spouse is a spender and I'm more of a saver?
wow. Well, there's a lot to unpack there because this is not an uncommon scenario. But really, I think every married couple, regardless if there's extremes in your spending habits, you have to come to an agreement
Yeah.
as to who's going to manage the finances first and foremost. My mom and dad had this dilemma. For many years, my mom managed the finances, and they didn't do that well. But my mom is extraordinarily gifted. For the majority of their marriage, she made more than my dad. She brought in more money. That wasn't a problem for them, and they now both do really well, but she wasn't as skilled organizationally to be able to manage their money. She needed to be out there making the money.
It's funny because her gifting is in sales and her husband's gifting is more operational.
Yep.
And it's funny how it manifested more like towards the end of their life where actually their roles is just that.
On
and
their
that's
actual career paths.
and it's managing on the managing level, but it took them a while to get that to click in their marriage. Like, this is her gifting, this is his gifting, and this will be the best way for us to function as a family so that we're bringing in money, we're saving money, and we're building from there.
And once they did, their finances started to flourish. And if you're a spender, if you're not as good with money, let your spouse lead in that way and determine what your limits are. You have to have a conversation with one another and say, hey, if we're apart from each other, you're out and about or I am, and we are looking to spend above a certain dollar amount, we need to pick up that phone and call. It might feel childish or inconvenient or I don't feel free. Listen, you're one flesh. You've got to communicate at some point. And no matter where you land on the scales financially, whether you're mega millionaire, billionaire, trillionaire, at some point you got to ask that question with the person that you're doing life with your spouse. And so for you, it might be $100 threshold. For others, it might be $1,000 threshold. Or for some of you, it might even be $20, right? As disciplined as you have to be. And if you can't get that straight, then maybe you should have two separate bank accounts. One that you manage your bills and your obligations and your investments out of, and another that you deposit money that is quote unquote disposable. I kind of hate that term, but it speaks to money that is left over after those investments and after those obligations that you have, the liabilities, that you're able to do things that are more fun. Go out to eat, do your nails, buy a present, go to Home Goods like Victoria did yesterday and
Call me out.
Yeah, buy a strainer, right? But you got to be disciplined enough to say, no, this is our limit. This is how much we have to spend, and I'm not going to go beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
A big part of that is being very disciplined with your credit cards.
Mm-hmm.
Credit cards are not designed to be your friend if you are using those credit cards like disposable money. You're using credit cards to eat out. You're using credit cards
Gas,
for
groceries,
invaluable expenditures, right? Credit cards are only valuable if you know how to use them correctly, leveraging them for wealth, leveraging them for investment's sake. And you can use the points, credit cards give you points all day long, but you're going to fool yourself. And then you're going to look at the end and you're going to say, holy cow, we have thousands of dollars in credit card debt. To be a little transparent, Victoria and I got to that point. We had close to $30,000 in credit card debt, and we had to get disciplined, and God helped us and gave us a strategy.
We literally cut
to
our
pay it all
cards.
off. We did cut our cards.
Mm-hmm.
Now we've learned how to use our cards, and we've been able to, the past several years, use those cards in order to invest and do other things. So we still have credit cards. We have big lines of credit, but we're not using those credit cards for disposable, spending habits.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
I think that was a lot. Learn how to read your credit card statement too, by the way. Know when the closing date is and so on. But I think that was enough for that question. What do
Yeah.
you say?
I mean, we could create a whole episode on that in itself, but I'm
Yeah.
sure that you got a lot out of this. And if you wanted to submit a question, you can text us at 864-428-7131, or you can also message us at Mormos Forever, and maybe we'll answer your questions on air. When we receive these messages through our texting line, this is us. Nobody else is filtering it. And if we ever say it on air, we're not going to put your name out there. So it is going to be anonymous. So if you want your questions answered, it could be any kind of questions. It does not have to be pertaining to money. Please message us, reach out to us, and we would love to connect and give you guys some of the answers that we may have.